Welcome everybody. It is Monday night, which means it is time for us to play some D&D with Wild Beyond the Witchlight. I have still got to get out of the habit of saying it's time for some troubleshooters. What can you say? After so many years of doing it, you get what you get. Anyways, I'm going to cover some real quick announcements, and then we're going to come here to do what we came here to do, and that's play some Dungeons and Dragons. First of all, there is a large elephant in the room regarding some people in the D&D world, and to anybody affected by the actions of two particular people. If you're in the know, you're in the know, and if not, I don't want to spread anymore, but if you've been affected by them, I'm really sorry that any of you have ever had to go through that, and get your story out there so that others will feel free to speak up as well. Anyways, enough about all that. We covered that part. Let's talk about some other stuff. If you will notice, there is a notification down below in the lower parts that we now have something that has been asked for years, and we have finally been able to post it up. We finally have the right people in place, and by the right people in place, I mean Otter. We have a merch store. That is correct. As a matter of fact, I don't even have you scroll down. We're going to use... Dang it, you beat me to it. Anyways, we're going to use the tag merch. Shirts, magnets, stickers are up, and we have more things coming. We are working on designs for all sorts of things. Please support us and pick up a t-shirt, grab a sticker, grab a magnet. We have Pride month going on, and therefore, as you notice, our logo has changed to reflect that. We also have merchandise to reflect that as well. We really want to let you people know that we really want to let everyone know that we are in full support of everybody in the LGBTQIA plus. And as I was about to say, thank you, voice in my head, to show our appreciation and love for all those wonderful people. We actually have a discount on all the Pride merchandise in the store right now. So please go pick up all of that. Yeah, so merch store. I'm pretty proud of that. I'm pretty happy. We've come a long way in 4 years. There'll be more with some of the more famous sayings that we have. I don't know that open your throat and don't choke will make it on there, but we may have things like Jesus only likes you as a friend, since that was a big one. But we'll see. We'll see what comes out of this. In the meantime, listen, that hat was iconic to that character, to the point that my good friend Voodoo got me that hat that says Jesus only likes you as a friend. There was a shirt one time, to tell another story that I really want to make this one into, but I need to know if it was... Monty was an absolute delight. There was a shirt that said Jesus loves you, but the rest of us think you're an asshole. And that was like one of my favorite shirts of all time. So I don't know that we'll have that one in the store ever, but still, at the same time, go check out our merch store, pick up some stuff. Please support us. I'm not afraid to ask or beg for your money. Give it to me. Anyway, so enough with all that stuff. Let's talk about what happened last time we played. Before I do that, am I missing anything, Otter? Anything else I need to talk about? Excellent. The voice in my head says that's everything for now. So let's talk about everything else that happened. Oh yeah, so that's speaking of that. Yeah, you're right. Before we move on, let's talk about that. Go now and join our Discord if you haven't already. In our Discord, there is a section called the Emporium, and it is an idea place for you to share your ideas for merch, what you may like, what you want to see, that sort of thing. Absolutely go in and share your ideas. We'd love to see what you guys can come up with. Keep in mind that we do have rules and things that we have to follow, but other than that, share your ideas. We'd like to see it. I think that's I think that's it. All right. Now, moving on along. Last episode, they rescued a diminutive knight trapped in a basket in a cage. Got him down with some clever use of mage hand and some allowances that were made. A small fairy dragon trapped in a cage who said that his cage can be unlocked by the key that belongs to a goblin on Telemy Hill. With him pointing the way towards Telemy Hill, the party wandered through the swampy lands of Hither. They find themselves at the foot of the hill, and that is where we'll begin tonight's game of Wild Beyond the Witchlight. And welcome back, party. As I said, you can see yourselves at the foot of this very large hill. Staring up as your new ally tells you, there, at the top of the hill, we'll find a small goblin by the name of Jingle Jangle. She has the key that will release me. As you're holding the cage, he just kind of looks at you all expectantly.
Do we plan to run into any more way goers along the way that might give us trouble?
I don't know. I can tell you that Jingle Jangle is mostly friendly. The
I see.
trees on Telemy Hill are a bit odd, though, so mind yourselves. And once again, as you look up the hill, you're greeted by the scent of sweet-smelling fruit, damp, downy, silvery green moss blankets the gentle upward slope before giving way to a craggy ridge that marks the top of the hill. Dozens of enormous willow trees dot the hillside, swaying as though in a breeze despite the absence of one. Who is leading the way up the hill?
Well, if no one volunteers, most certainly shall go forth Sir Hickory Turnip. He can't be dissuaded in the face of another knight.
He has to keep his knightly ways about him. All right. As you are heading up Telemy Hill, the trees themselves seem to shake and rattle. A narrow game trail leads its way up the den.
Oh, sorry.
As you're making your way up, you can see. Hang on, just 1 second. Sorry. As you're making your way up the hill, you can see a number of trees that actually step forward. 5 of them. You're about 10 feet apart. The lead one takes a bow. Welcome to our home. How long do you plan to stay?
Welcome. Sorry, not welcome. Hello. I'm Sir Hickory Turnip, and these are my brave companions. We're here just for a short visit to secure the freedom of this poor fellow we ran into along our travels. We're seeking a goblin named what was his name again?
Jingle jangle.
She do a jingle jangle.
One Jingle Jangle.
Jingle jangle is up high. Were you the ones responsible for her being attacked?
We don't know anything about being attacked. We just have this
Mm,
knightly friend here that's is kind of stuck in a predicament, as you can tell. And he
he's
says that she may have the very key to his freedom.
She very well may. She does enjoy her keys. She collects keys and talks about them endlessly. She even wears a coat of keys that jingle and jangle when she walks.
Uh-oh.
That's how she got her name.
Pleasant. Is she okay after this attack?
3 days ago, while rooting through the swamp for truffle, she was attacked and robbed by brigands. She hasn't left her hilltop den since returning to the hill. I suspect, as most small things are, she's probably pretty hungry by now.
Well, fortunate that I'm an excellent cook.
Oh, would you like to check on her?
I think we'd be quite happy to do that.
Well, then, we would like to show you the way. And as they guide you, I forgot to put my music on. As they guide you up the hill, this short path or this narrow pathway allows for passage for you as well as them as they move you up higher up the hill. You can see worn stone steps lead down into what feels like a cellar. Sorry. You can see as you reach the top of the hill a cave, the entryway shaped like a keyhole. The willow points to you and points towards the entrance and says, "Oh, that's her home there inside."
Oh, and thank you.
You're welcome. And it
Most
bows and allows you entrance.
I bow back with a little curtsy. I stumble a little bit. My legs are tired.
Jay goes to shake his hand.
You shake the tree's hand.
He goes to. He
Just-
offers.
The willow just kind of looks at you and smiles and waves a branch at you.
Nice.
All right. Who is heading in to see our friend Jingle Jangle?
Hey,
Jay will.
I'm
I will as
extremely
well.
curious about all these keys. I'm ready.
Most definitely.
As you start. Excellent. Well, as the lot of you make your way in, worn stone steps lead down into what feels like a cellar. It is chilly in here, and you detect a subtle scent of iron in the air. From a distant spot within the chamber, sputtering candles illuminate a multitude of keys dangling from taut strings that crisscross the walls. Hundreds of other keys lie strewn across the dirt floor. As you take in the scene, you hear the sound of keys jingling as a goblin emerges from the dimness. She wears a coat lined with metal keys and carries a flail that has padlocks for heads. She manages a faint smile and says, "How might Jingle Jangle unlock a bit of happiness in your lives today?" And I will now show you a picture of our dear little Jingle Jangle.
Aw.
Aw.
She's so cute.
Look at those.
And
Everyone is cute in this.
you can see her.
Amazed. Oh,
Oh,
The flail is amazing.
I love them.
hello, dear. I'm sorry to intrude on you, but we need a bit of your help. Is that all right?
Yeah, yes, I'm here to help. How can Jingle Jangle help you?
Is she okay?
She seems like she's okay. You hear her stomach grumbling a little bit.
Oh, right. We were told that you may not have eaten anything in a while. I'd happily cook you something if you'd exchange for your help.
Jingle Jangle is very happy to hear this. This is most pleasing.
Well, why
And
don't
you
we
watch as she kind of
talk over
scurries
here?
forward. What's that?
Why don't we talk over a nice meal and some tea then?
Yes, nice meal and tea. Jingle Jangle would like that very much.
So I
Alright.
take it, Sir Hickory Turnip, you set about cooking a meal for everyone?
Yep. And if we've got, I can't remember if I get my power back on a short rest or a long rest. But I'll probably have my, like, if I've got the option, I'll probably have my unseen servant like helping me out, and we'll be like going around like chopping stuff and peeling stuff and bubbling away. I'll probably do
Okay.
some sort of stew or something.
Okay. As you finish preparing the meal, some of you making tea, some of you setting about helping set the tables and things like that. The crockery in here is mostly made of wood carved. You can see that there are mismatching pieces. And again, the whole wall is a tapestry of crisscross strings drawn tight with keys all over them, making for this unique flicker in the candlelight with the firelight, and how the keys glint. It seems to be like light dances across the room at times. When you all have finished eating a meal, she sits back and kind of like pats her small stomach.
Jingle Jangle is very thankful for your hospitality. You seek something from Jingle Jangle?
Yes. Do you know our friend here, Talavar? He says you have a key to his predicament, his cage here.
I will hold up his cage.
She stands up for a moment, and you see her like. There's almost this like mystical feel to the way she moves. She holds up her hand in front of all the keys, and she moves up and down, and you can hear her muttering, "No, not that one, not that one, no. Oh no, that's too delicate, not delicate enough. This one." And then eventually you see her land on one, and without disturbing the string or making a noise, she deftly plucks it from the strings that are crisscrossed across the way. She walks over and hands it to whoever has Sir Tolliver's cage. She hands the key up, holds the key up, and she says,
Better you should have it than those long-eared brigands. First they stole Jingle Jangle's truffles. Next they'll want Jingle Jangle's keys. Someone ought to give them a good shakedown so they know what it feels like.
And she offers the key out.
I will take the key.
Okay. Sure enough, you slip it into the lock and it undoes it without any issue.
If I'm hearing about the most likely probably those hobby folks or robbers, I kind of give a chuckle and give a gleeful look towards Willerin.
Mhm.
Yeah, probably needs a little shaking up indeed.
The Agden Longscarf, he's the leader of the Herringon Brigands. He wears a bright blue scarf and moves as fast as lightning. If you head toward Brigand's Tollway, you might find him there. Brigand's Tollway is a series of old wooden catwalks that circle a giant tree stump. The brigands camp atop the stump because it gives them the advantage of high ground.
Insightful. Thank you. We'll keep an eye out.
If you need a guide, the best guide in Hither is a pincer-clawed scarecrow named Clapperclaw. He hangs around Downfall and knows the way to the neighboring realm of Thither, which is ruled by Granny Nightshade.
And you can see her wrinkle up her little face and nose at the words Granny Nightshade.
Does anybody recognize that name from when we were learning about what we had lost? Granny Nightshade?
Let's check the story tracker.
No, it's
Yes, that's Scabatha Nightshade is one of the hags, the ruler of Tither.
Yes, that's her. She's no good. Jingle Jangle does not like the hags.
And you can see her like pout her lips out in a frown as she shakes her head back and forth.
Are you gonna take care of the brigands?
Well, I don't think we can leave them just running around causing all these sorts of problems. I mean, they hurt
Ji-
this poor creature here. What do the rest of you
Ji-
say? I
yeah.
say we take him down.
Sir Tulliver, who is now freed from his cage, pulls his blade from his scabbard.
I for one agree.
I mean, Styx did send them running, last we saw.
And I think Willerin gave him quite a good scare, too.
That is true.
I mean, if we just kind of had them two kind of walk up, I feel like they would just leave again. If they haven't learned their lesson.
All right.
Maybe they wouldn't
Jing-
hurt.
Jingle Jangle was digging for truffles in the swamp when a bunch of them leapt from behind the reeds and shrubbery. They took Jingle Jangle's truffles and threw Jingle Jangle down in the mud and whacked Jingle Jangle with their wooden clubs.
And her little brow knits and she frowns even further.
That sounds terrible.
Hmm.
I think we should give them a piece of our mind. They just seem, yeah, they're just a bunch of hooligans. What'd you say, gang? I'm fired up. Start pushing up my sleeves.
All right. So it sounds like Fanny is ready to go.
So is Turnip.
All right.
If they're causing
Sir
a
Tolliver.
problem, I mean, sounds like something should be done.
That's the spirit.
All right. Heading out towards then, leaving out of the area. As you are heading back down the hill, the whole of the hill seems to be delighted. The trees dance around, and specifically dancing around you in appreciation. One of them, a smaller one, more like a poplar tree or something, wanders over to you on short, thin legs, bends down at the waist, and hands you an iron key. It says, "Jingle jangle dropped this in the dirt. The key may be useful later." And it kind of like rustles its leaves in what you think is like some sort of mischievous laughter before it joins the fray and dances away.
Describe it again.
It's just
An
an
iron
iron
key.
key. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All
I'm
right.
trying very hard not to just like slip keys in my pockets as we're moving about Jingle Jangle's place.
Who takes the key?
I hold my little grubby hands up.
No, you have no. Hand that to me. I'll take that. Keep giving a little bit of a stink eye. I'm watching.
All right.
Oh, God.
As you reach down to the bottom of Telemy Hill, Sir Televar looks at you, Sir Hickory Turnip, draws his sword, holds it upright, blade pointed to the sky, brandishes it in front of his chest, and gives you a slight bow. He then stands, he takes the blade and lays it down, and lays it with the blade across his arm, turns and grabs the blade and offers it to you, hilt first, this tiny sword. "From one night to another, I offer you my blade. May it find you in good health always, and may it help you secure yourself in time of need." And he offers it to you.
Well, you're going to take it?
Well, he's offering it to Sir Hickory Turnip.
Mm-hmm. Well,
My apologies there. My internet just dropped and came back on, so I just heard some Hickory Turnip.
The little knight draws his blade, holds it point to the sky, brandishing it in front of his heart. He does a slight bow to you before taking it, laying the blade across his arm, hilt first, towards you, saying, "My blade, may it find you ever safe, may it find you ever in good health, and may it help to secure you in time of need." And he offers the sword to you.
Oh, I'm most honored. Thank you. And he will take the blade.
All right. You can add the following thing to your inventory. I will give it to you here in just a moment. As you hold it, it is definitely not a long sword for you. Maybe a long sword for him. But for you, it is not. It is smaller in stature. Give me just 1 second here. Ah, there it is. I had to find it in the list of things. It's labeled differently.
Ah, yes. The letter opener of stabbing.
It actually, it's labeled as a tiny sword +1.
Okay.
It is a +1 tiny sword. It is basically a +1 dagger. So if you want to add a +1 dagger to your inventory, you now have a +1 dagger.
That sounds
He
fantastic.
then bows. Excellent. He bows to the lot of you and says, I must be off. There is more to tell to Queen Tatiana. I hate to bid you adieu before we see these brigands dealt with, but you know a knight's duty is to his queen, his kingdom, and his people. I bid you farewell, and good luck in all things. With that, he
Safe
salutes you all
travels.
once again. Of course. And he takes his gauntleted fist and pounds it once over his heart before lifting his wings and flying away into the distance.
Well, hopefully he doesn't get caught again.
What an interesting fella.
Don't see that every day.
Great cloaked one. It would seem that Fanny and Noodle have received a player boon.
Fanny and who?
Noodle.
Noodle. You've received boons, have you?
It would seem so.
No.
One, because Fanny's gonna throw hands, and two, because Noodle has little grubby hands.
Such a throw hands. You better watch out. If I catch you alone, you're done for.
Fanny,
That's me.
you have 1 extra spell slot.
Oh.
Noodle,
Roger.
you have 2 extra key points. And with that being said, you head north towards this area that looks like it might be where you need to go. Up there. Making your way through the swamp. Making your way downtown. As you are on your way through the swamp, you know what I need someone to roll?
D6.
Yeah.
Perception.
Let's have you roll.
Are we doing survival, perception, or the D8? Or
Is this a trick
It's
question?
the D8.
okay, who did it last?
The D8.
I don't remember. Wait, you can scroll up.
D8 of doom.
Bryce, it looks like Mr. J did the last one.
Have we had one
D8 of
from
doom.
Willow Wren and Styx yet?
Ooh.
I believe I did one, maybe?
I
I
think
don't know.
I've
Let's have
done one.
Styx roll though.
Yeah.
Okay. 1d6,
1D8.
1d8.
Mhm.
Yay, of Becca.
It may not be that bad. It might be good.
6.
Okay. Roll it again for me, please.
Another 6.
Okay, you know what? You're off of the rolling board. Willerin.
Oh no. Yeah.
That's
Roll a
funny.
D8 for me.
Okay. If I roll a 6, I'm gonna laugh.
If you roll a 6, I'll just pick one.
A 4.
Okay. All right.
I rolled
As
the
you
wrong
are,
dice. It's okay.
would you roll?
I grabbed one because I saw the 8 on it, but this was actually a D10. But I did roll a D8
Roll
and
a
I also still got
D8.
4. I still got
A
a 4.
4?
I did. I rolled the correct one. It's fine.
A likely story. All right.
No, I tossed it
As
down
you
into
are,
good.
as you guys are moving northward towards the stump, that is this large stump that you can see way out in the distance. The waters start to rise around you once again. Are you still carrying that big ass raft?
Um, I know.
Probably would have picked it up again because I
Yeah,
definitely left it at the bottom.
we did not bring that
All
up
right.
the hill.
Fully using the raft to guide yourselves along, you come across some more of those stilt walkers. They once again just kind of look at you, give you a moment. You do anything?
I would like to wave.
All right. You wave. One of them kind of nods his head upwards, and then after a moment or two, they just continue on throughout there. As the water starts to recede, you've been traveling for about an hour or so. You're getting kind of tired.
Yes.
You notice that there is the sound of like hundreds of feet schlumping through the mud. As you are rowing, you see this inn that seems to settle into the mud. It looks like it's settled into the mud. Low enough that you can make your way into the door of it as it appears ahead of you. The inn has a little sign on it that says the inn at the end of the road.
That doesn't sound
squat-
ominous.
The inn is a squat 3-story structure. You can see a slate shingled roof, worm-eaten wood walls, dozens of tiny orbs of pale light that buzz about the exterior like flies. It's settled in quite calmly, seeming to settle down. Do you wish to head in?
Yeah.
I sure do.
It's got to be
Yeah,
better
alright.
to rest than out here.
If my lower back is killing me. And my
All right, as you
ankles.
because I like to give you guys all the pictures and player art handouts and stuff like that. We
Ooh,
find
thank
the
you.
inn at the end of the road. Let's see.
The end at the end of the road.
Oh, it doesn't have one for me. Womp womp. Oh. Maybe. Player art handout. There we go. I like it when it does that. Show to everyone. There you go. There is the inn.
Ooh. Wait a second.
Yes. As you approached it, you had noticed it settling in. The inn itself is on hundreds of little legs.
Oh my.
I don't like that.
What type of legs?
Fleshy legs is what it
Oh.
says.
Oh, great. I wonder if they're ticklish.
You're weird. I like it. Don't ever change.
Mm.
Um,
I'm
as
intrigued
you
and
approach and enter,
terrified by that sentence.
heading into the inn, you can see that there is an elderly female human who is acting as the proprietor, meaning that she is the proprietor. She waves at you and introduces herself as Sue Harabax, and that is TSU Harabax. She looks at all of you and says, "A motley crew you lot are. Where'd you wander in from? You look drenched, dearies. Is there something I can do to help you?"
Well, a place to
A
sit
room?
down.
Yeah, sit down in a room for the night would be lovely.
Yeah.
I gotta
Oh,
ask.
certainly. Mhm.
The legs. What's with the legs? Just gonna throw it out there, not beating around the bush here. That is. What's going on there?
You can't just
Oh.
ask somebody that.
Well, I mean, certainly. How else do you think it'll get around? Can't go moving without legs, do you? Otherwise, what you be? It's just a rock in there.
So you're running yourself into business then?
Oh, look at you. You're funny. Anyways, right.
It's a good one. It's very
You,
humorous.
of course. Yeah, have legs will travel, that sort of thing. What's better than you going to the inn than the inn coming to you? Right?
Touche.
Oh, I remember in Zabilna's time, this inn was all the talk of Presmere. Could go wherever I needed to go at that time. But now, ever since those wicked creatures came in, I'm stuck here in Hither. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, I'm not a fan of the swampy morass here. I'd rather be somewhere else, if it's all the same to you. So, an inn for the night, or a room for the night then, eh?
Oh, probably maybe several. We do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 for the goat. We have a
Well,
good bit of individuals here.
I'm
Don't
happy to
forget the
provide you with free...
snail.
Right, and the snail. I'm happy to offer you free beds, hot meals, and slices of delicious plum pie to all of the guests here. But, as are the rules of conduct, reciprocity dictates that you repay my kindness.
Of course.
Not
Could
much.
we
Any old
do
trinket'll do.
trinkets? Okay.
Sure.
Could I trade you a good meal so you don't have to cook for the night?
Aye, that'll do. If you want to cook a meal, I'll say that you'll replace a meal with a meal. Or unless
Well,
you
I
plan on
might
feeding
enjoy it.
us, that is.
Well, I actually like I used to I grew up in it working at an inn, and it's kind of it's got a nostalgia to it. I'd love to have it around, cooking for the house. That'd be lovely.
Well, we'll consider that deal made then. You provide the hot meals, I'll provide the free beds. Is that a deal then?
Does she mean everyone cooking?
If if he's gonna cook for the lot of you and me, then I'll provide the beds for all of you.
Oh, I'm still very much gonna reach into my bag and root around and see what I pull out.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about me.
I'm not thinking
Agree.
of anything in particular. I'm just seeing what happens.
You're just rolling on there to see what comes up.
Well, I
Yeah.
still would like to try those plum pies. What if I knit you some new socks for you?
That's
Ooh, a
a
lovely pair of socks would be delightful. It would. I'll
What's
take
your
it.
favorite
Plum
color?
pie for a pair of socks.
Ooh, yes.
I'm partial to a dark green, to be perfectly honest with you.
Gotcha.
that's a 38.
They're green socks.
I would also like to
38.
roll
Mm-hmm.
to look through my bag.
Okay. How many of these bags did I hand out? Does actually count them out to everybody? Okay.
No, this would kind of just be my own pack. I don't know if you gave one to me or not.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can root around in your bag. So, specifically for Noodle, I forgot if we were using this one or this other one. While we're at that, Noodle, roll a d4 for me, Noodle.
Ho, 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 ho. It's a 2.
A 2. Perfect. And what did you say you rolled a 38?
Mhm.
Rolling in there, or rummaging around through your bag, you pull out an opalescent conch shell. It's beautiful to see. For some reason, you hold it up to your ear for a moment. And instead of hearing the ocean, you hear a as it laughs.
Ah. Could I interest you in some laughter?
Oh, we all use a bit of laughter these days. I'll take your laughing shell. And
Do
she
you
holds out her
happen to
hand.
have any ale?
No, of course. What sort of tavern would we be if we didn't have some ale? Here you go. I fill up your gourd for you, or a cup, a mug, a pint.
Yes.
All right. And she sets about filling up a pint glass for you. All right. So, Sticks, you're gonna roll. Roll a D100 and then roll a D4 for me.
Okay.
Okay.
You said a 1d4?
Yep. Okay. Man, where's that go? Okay, there it is. As you look in, you can see, you don't know where this came from. You don't even remember having it. It is an insignia, like for a soldier. You don't know whose insignia it is. It's from somewhere long ago, but not a forgotten place. You don't really remember much about it, but it's the lost insignia, or it's the rank insignia of a lost legionnaire.
Mm.
She just kind of looks at you as you kind of turn it over in your hand.
I give kind of a helpless little shrug.
She smiles at you and says, "It was important enough to you to take it, to keep up with it. It'll be important to me." And as she takes it, she looks at it and kind of rubs her thumb over it, and then you see her like wipe one of her eyes with her finger. Reminds me of my William. Long has he been gone? Anyways, thank you, dear. What can I get for you?
I would just like something to eat, please.
Oh, of course. Your friend there, he's making all the meals and providing the bed. How about a nice slice of plum pie for your trinket?
Sounds good to me.
And we're never too old to have a bit of dessert before we have dinner, right? And she slices you this plum pie, and it smells sweet. And she takes a little pot and pours a little cream around the edges of it.
Oh my god.
And as you take a bite, it is delicious, and it takes you to long ago as you are just enjoying this plum pie that she's made.
My god.
I am just going to find myself a seat to sit down and enjoy.
Ooh.
I'm trying my
As
best
you all-
to drink out of a pint glass that's probably about the size I am.
I just saw the image that you posted. Oh god, that is perfect. Is that a mega pint? All right.
To me, it is.
As the night wanders on, unless anybody has anything else specifically you knit a nice pair of socks. The rest of you enjoy a meal made by your good friend, Sir Hickory Turnip. The pie that she hands out, all come to an agreement. She sits down with you and eats, and she says, "Are you aware of the rules of conduct here? Some of people around here," as she kind of like twirls her fork around the area, "they don't really cotton to them anymore now that there's been a sort of a change of management, if you will. But
Do
those of
the-
us who've been around for a while, we
Do-
keep to them.
Do the old rules still apply?
Aye, the old rules still apply. Some folk aren't as inclined to govern them so closely as Sibylna once did. May she be restored to power soon. But for those of us, the old rank and file, the old guard, if you will, we still hold true to those things.
That is hospitality, ownership, and reciprocity, correct?
Aye, you remember? Yes, indeed. All those things are true.
It's one of my earlier memories. Feels
Oh?
like I've known it forever.
Are you from here, dearie?
Well, not from here. I've never been to Prismere.
Oh, a first timer then. Welcome. Wish it would have been in better terms and times. Unfortunately, here we are.
So is no one able to well, has anyone stood up to the new ownership, since it seems to be not so very welcome? Any tries?
Oh, there's been talk of people stepping forward to say, "Oi, this is not right." There's not much come of it, though. A lot of talk, not a lot of doing. And I've got a tavern to watch over, so I'm not going to be getting out there and tossling about with him. Not at my age, anyway.
Hmm. Well, let's maybe cheers to maybe better times in the future, eh?
Aye, to better times in the near future.
Cheers.
Oh, Willerin, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What is before we left? You were given. I forgot.
Oh, a title. That's right.
Yes, that. Yes.
That. What
Uh,
was that?
Carnival clown? No.
Oh,
Monarch?
The
The
charm
monarch
of the
of the
monarch.
festival, wasn't it?
Yes. Yes, I was.
Festival clown.
I like the other
Sticks.
name for it.
Sticks everything.
Festival
That was
clown.
right.
So, yeah, it was the monarch.
Of the carnival.
The Witchlight
Like
monarch.
Yeah.
I
Sorry,
had to
what
think
was
for myself. I was like, wait, what's it called again?
what's the question, sorry? Was it just what is it?
Yeah. I mean, you worked there. I mean, what was it?
Well, it's a charm. But it's I can only use it for a short amount of time, but it basically lets me fly for a little while.
Oh. I mean, is it gone? I mean, you have to use it within a certain time. We've been gone from the carnival.
No, I believe well, I should be able to keep it until I use it.
Oh. So it's like a match. Once you light it, you got a certain amount of time to use it.
Yes.
Speaking of the carnival, do we still have to wear these? And I'll like really clumsily try and reach back for my wings.
You do that thing where you're turning in circles trying to get it off your back.
Yeah.
Yeah. You Sue looks at all of you and goes, I was going to ask about those, but I felt like it was maybe inappropriate. I thought maybe it was part of whatever group you were a part of. And who am I to judge?
Well, I mean, it is part of our group.
It's our thing.
Yeah, the butt-kicking butterflies.
I am already
Sounds
running fine.
Sounds legitimate if you say so. It looks at you as you take yours off and just kind of nods her head slowly up and down.
I'll be honest, I
like,
completely
yeah.
forgot I had them on.
Kind
I
of.
would remove them as well, actually.
If that's all going to be our symbol, you're going to have to tell me exactly what you want on the pennant, because it's going on my lamps, if that's the case.
Your flag bearer has decided that this is what's happening.
I'm going to shakily pad my way over to Willerin and like hold my hands up. Can you help me?
Oh,
Hope you want the wings off?
Please.
Of course.
No,
Please
he's
turn
walking
around.
over. He walks over, holds his hands up. Uppies.
Oh, believe me, I'll do it in a split heartbeat if that's what. He says, "Please help me," and I'm just like, "You up?
What, Willerin? You can certainly try.
Well, if you don't want to be picked up, I'm not going to lift you up."
The minute that Noodle was introduced, all I heard from the entire group was, "We've only had Noodle for 10 minutes, but anything happens to him, I'll kill everybody in this room, and then myself."
And then myself.
I certainly didn't say that.
I mean, you don't.
That's because you were on Team Fanny.
Honestly,
That's right.
if anything happens to
Are
Fanny,
you
I riot.
a fanster or a noodle head?
Noodle head.
I couldn't come up with anything else. I was grasping at straws. Okay.
Noodle
Could call them-
caboodle.
Could call them the Noodlers.
Noodle.
No, you cannot. That is against the law.
You've gone
You're
wrong.
not- you cannot refer to people as noodlers. That's just not right.
The Noodlies?
Noodlies.
I mean, it could be the noodlers and the noodlettes.
No.
No, I don't like that either. No, not a fan.
It's got a ring
No,
to
not
it.
a fan. It's got a ring to it. A ring that says "put that down."
A ring that says
don't know
do
where
not
that's
pick
been.
up this call.
Yeah.
Let it go to voicemail.
I'm gonna let that keep ringing.
Let me go to. Yeah, I'm just gonna ignore that one.
New scrying sphere.
Oh
Who
my
dis?
We've been trying to reach you about your tower's warranty.
Ah.
Oh my goodness. What rails? We don't do rails here.
We're off the
Rails
tracks.
are for losers. All right. So,
Thank you, Willerin.
you spend the night camped in the inn, and you recognize as you're eating, you're about 10 minutes into the evening when you realize the tower is actually moving. You can see the world passing by. Not quickly, about a walking pace that you would normally keep, but it's definitely moving. But you don't feel it. Like it's like being on a cruise vessel. You don't feel the rocking of the big ass ship that you're on, but you can see the water going by, kind of thing.
We're not moving
As you-
away from our like the where we're planning on going, right?
You're kind of moving
In a direction.
perpendicular to it. Yeah.
How are we splitting up the rooms? How many rooms do we have?
I sleep in the
Focusing.
nude, so
So one room for her and another room for the rest of you. Right. I've got enough for all of you. Don't worry about it, dear. And she kind of like motions around. You recognize that there are no other tenants currently in the room, in the place. So you all take a rest. Go ahead and mark on your sheet a long rest. Noodle and Fanny, keep those extra boons that I gave you. I don't want you to miss out on that.
Roger that.
oh yeah, but unleash all the freaking bells on these days.
And as the dawning of the next day greets you, you wake up. She provides you with breakfast as part of the service that she offers here. And you set off on your way. Unfortunately, the one thing you did leave far behind you is your raft.
Dang it.
Oh. I hold up my gourd at the counter before I leave.
So, she tops off your gourd.
Thank you.
This
Of
is not
course.
the same gourd with the memories, right? Wait.
He's just sipping from that and keeps losing like his memories of the most delightful moments in his life. He slips into depression.
Wait,
He
a different
drinks more
gourd?
because he can't remember.
Oh
Give me
no!
a
Drinks
couple
different.
episodes and I'm just
It's a
like,
vicious cycle.
what do you want?
That's not
Surly
gourd.
otter. Surly little otter.
Oh
I
god, this
don't
is
remember
not
You
asking
don't
gourd
you
at all.
for
understand.
shit.
You don't understand what I lost. None of you know.
I don't even know what I lost anymore. I lost the memories of losing what I lost. I'm just mad, sad.
I had to climb on things to sit down at a normal height. Just this sad little otter.
At some
All
point, he just
right.
doesn't want to move, and we have to make a little like book bag for him to sit in.
He's just
Or I
now
have
you're
to carry
baby
him.
Bjorning. You're just baby Bjorning him across the way.
Yeah.
His his legs are all stuck out of there, and he just looks angry. He slowly morphs into a weasel.
Oh.
Not with this class, I'm not.
No. All right, you guys, though, in all the seriousness tones, continue your travel, seeing that you've moved along and are now much closer than what you were before. You find yourselves only a short walk to the Brigand's Tollway. As you pass through, it's quiet today. As you get closer to the Brigand's Tollway, you get that is a little weirdly quiet. As you look, the foggy marsh stretches out before you. Rickety causeways made of wooden planks form a wide, web-like structure above the bog. 300 feet away, many of these causeways converge on an enormous ivy-covered tree stump that rises a good 10 feet above the 20-foot high fog bank that enshrouds it. The causeways... Go ahead. Sorry, what was that?
I say I'm getting a serious stance and saying, we're here.
Most of the wooden causeways are 5 feet wide and are in poor shape. As you are walking, you carefully avoid unsafe area. As you look, as it falls away below you into the fog bank 20 feet below. Actually, 30 feet from the top of the planks to the bottom.
I am going to put myself at the back.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Once again, who has the highest perception score amongst us?
Oh,
I think the highest is a 13.
I think it's 13 is almost across the board.
With the exception of, like,
13 here.
Willorin, I think.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think everybody's got a 13 except for Willorin. All right. Willorin,
Yeah.
you don't see this, but the rest of the party, as you guys are walking along, you don't know how long you've been walking. It might have been only a few minutes, but you notice that there is a hooded figure that seems to be walking along with you. Just sort of, kind of nonchalantly. The odd feeling, it suddenly comes over you. It's like you become aware that there's, like, somewhere along the way, a hunched hooded figure started walking with you all. And as you look, you can see him. He just kind of nods. Keeps his hood pulled up.
Hello?
As you say hello, he looks up and you see the rounded end of a snout. A rabbit's snout. He bounds away about 10 feet from the party, throws off his cloak in a flourish, and you can see revealing his 15-foot long, bright blue scarf. In one hand, he holds a hot branding iron and a small round shield in the other. As he throws off his cloak, the sound of a bagpipe erupts from somewhere up ahead. After a few notes, you recognize it as the song that was sung earlier, talking about Agden Longscarf. Agden, this rabbit, sings the song as he takes off at a run, a wide grin on his rabbit face as he bounds from one plank to another in a circle all around you. So you can see that he, unlike you, bound around there with no issues with those dangerous parts. As soon as you watch, you see that there are two skiffs that seem to have pushed up each one containing 3 Harengon brigands, and another one that holds 4 Harengons, and one of them holding a bow in his hand. The skiffs come from the direction of the giant tree stump. They sort of emerge from the fog, getting visible only when they're about 20 feet away. Brigands spring onto the nearby causeway, advancing close to you. And as we do, let's go ahead and roll initiative, everyone.
Yeah. Click my
Oof.
All right.
No,
Give me
I
one
did.
second here to
I've
throw
not
all my
put
people on there.
beyond 20 on this new computer. But a 6.
Well, if
Ooh.
you click on your number next to your character on the turn order, you can change it to the right
Okay.
number.
Oh, okay. 6. Boom. No, wait, I didn't do it.
And hit
6.
enter.
Oh my god. I can't. Oh, nope. It keeps like not
I
wanting to.
believe in you.
It just like cancels it. Ugh. It goes straight to 16 still.
6. Got
It's
you.
a 6. Thank you.
It's a 6
No
now.
problem.
Uh,
All right. Let me bring up all the character sheets I need. Because, I got a lot of stuff here. For those of you who want to know what our good man Agden Longscarf appears to look like, you have probably already seen him in our open intro for...
I wonder if he ever steps on that long scarf as he's jumping around everywhere.
That's a good question.
Because that's a lot of scarf to be hopping.
You would think they would make this a little easier to find in all of here. But unfortunately, they don't. Okay. There he is. Player art. Show to everyone. There's our man, Agden Longscarf.
Ooh. I like that scarf.
Maybe that's why the end is all frayed. He keeps stepping on it.
I know.
All right. Roll for our brigands. Let's roll for the man himself. All right. With that, let's order this. Descending order. Get to go first. Yay! Try to make sure I give you the guys the dimensions. So he is about He starts off the combat about 15 feet away. The rest of them are about 10 feet. Okay? And they are on the causeway, bouncing back and forth between the different routes and the roads. The causeway being this area up here. You guys see me pinging on the map up there.
Oh.
That being said, he goes first. And who was leading the charge in this? I know that Styx was last.
Oh. I'm definitely not leading.
Hickory will be up the front.
Hickory is up front. So, Hickory, you are going to be his target as he bounds over to you, landing, and he strikes twice. 22 and a 26 to hit.
Oh god, that's real hard. Yeah, that's through my armor.
Yeah.
Oh, can I do a reaction?
Yeah.
Can I silvery barbs it?
Yeah. Does that give it disadvantage?
I believe so. Oh.
Double check for me.
I think silvery barbs makes you re-roll a successful action.
Yes.
So-
Yep. Attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, and re-roll and use the lower. Then you can
Okay.
choose a different creature you can see within range. And the chosen creature has advantage on the next attack roll, ability check, or saving throw must take within 1 minute.
Okay. So it's going to be one of those attacks, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I will let you choose. Do you want to use it on the first one or the second one?
I'll do the second one because I saw the first one
Okay.
hit and it's like, whoa, nope.
All right. I'm going to roll that again then. And take the lower of the two rolls, correct?
Yep, and I'm just gonna yell out that the only foe you've dropped is my expectations.
All right. Well, the
I
second
love
one
the fighting.
misses with an 11, and that's going to be 8 fire damage. As soon as he hits you with it, boom, he becomes invisible to you, and you feel this branding on you, this hot, fiery spot.
Ah! What? Ah!
As you go to look for him, he's nowhere to be seen. The rest of you see him jump away and land without being like there's no swing on him. All right. That is his turn, though. Styx, it is your turn. You can see that the other brigands have moved in, so they're on you guys on all sides, about 10 feet. To get to one of them, you're going to have to cross over a plank. You can choose to do so carefully at half your movement, which will still put you within range of one, or you can move farther with full movement. You let me know what you want to do.
My bow? Well,
Always an option.
It seems that we're not on speaking terms, so I
Oh no.
I'm trying to decide how I want to put Hunter's mark on.
I mean, you can put it on the brigands or the snipers, the guys with bows.
Throw a stick
Remembering
and
that,
pick whoever it hits.
yeah. I cast Hunter's Mark on the stick and then throw it.
I guess I will focus on the other long range enemies. So
Okay.
I'll put it on one of them.
All right, so we're going to say this guy has a bow on him. So we're going to put our target icon. So there you go. He has got Hunter's marked. All right, so he is Hunter's marked now.
a 23.
23 definitely hits him. Plus your D6. You draw up your bow. You cast out some words that you recall from your previous teachers. As you do, you watch this like blazed up moment where your focus zeroes in on him. You draw your bow, fling the arrow forward. As it finds its target true, there's that like flare again.
The words are great googly moogly.
Great googly moogly.
Oh my god.
As you do, the arrow finds its perch. You see him drawing his bow up to fire. Before he can even do that, though, your bow, the arrow twisting in the air, slices through the string and embeds itself in the Harengon, who looks at the string for a moment and then grabs the arrow and then just slumps onto the side of the skiff and just doesn't move. His foot twitches once and then he stops moving.
That's all.
That's dead. He did.
I will switch my hunter's mark to a different one if I can. They're
I
more
think it.
long range.
I think it takes a bonus action to do that. Double check the spell, but I believe it's so. It's like a bonus action to cast it and a bonus action to move it.
Let me see. Yeah, it's a bonus action. Okay.
Okay. But on the next one, you can definitely move it. All right. Next up in our strange array of folk, Willerin.
So, just so I'm remembering correctly, there are some 10 feet away from us?
That is correct.
Perfect. Well, since this worked so well last time, I'm gonna try Thunder Wave again.
Okay.
So it's a range of 15 feet from me. In a 15-foot cube.
Where? A 15-foot cube. I will say you can either hit the 3 that you see up top, or the 3, or I'll say 3 of them that you see at the bottom. The ranged guy is just out of range for it.
Okay. The 3 closest to this, or the bottom. The
Okay.
bottom.
Okay, sounds
Yeah.
good. We'll say those 3.
Perfect.
And
I
I
need
need
a-
you.
I need a con save.
Con save from me for all 3.
Yes.
First one's a 19.
Pass.
That's an 8. An 8 and a 16 are the last 2.
So the 8 fails.
All right.
So
and
the 8.
how much damage are you doing to me?
Okay. So 14 to the fail.
Okay.
And 7 to the passes. Yeah, they take half damage. And they aren't pushed, but the one that fails gets pushed 10 feet.
All right.
Yeah.
He does get pushed 10 feet as his body is flung over the edge of the skiff down into the shrouded fog below. He doesn't even get a Wilhelm scream off. He's just
He
as
just
the thunder
ragdolls away.
booms. Yep, as the thunder booms around him, he does. It looks like he's just flung out of there, his legs and arms pinwheeling as he disappears into the fog bank below. You can see the other 2 are holding their ears against their head. They're just like, as the thunder's boom erupts around them. Anything else on your turn?
I'm gonna roll the dice and give somebody an
Inspiration?
Yes, bardic inspiration. That's the word I'm looking for.
All right.
Sorry, took me a hot minute. So actually that goes to Styx. So
All
on
right.
his next turn, he'll have a D6.
Excellent.
Good
So
shot. Do it again next time.
repeat.
Do it again.
All right.
Do
Noodle.
more of that.
More of those things.
That was a nice shot. Let's do it again.
Arrow, go flip, flip, flip. All right. That leads us to Noodle. The scarf of the Harangon, Agdon Long scarf, is scant inches away from you, by the way.
Well, I'm not very strong to try and grab him from his scarf. It feels like a bad idea. I'm gonna try and give him a thwap on the knee.
All right, so you're gonna try to like pop him in the knee.
I am.
All right, go for it.
Go quarterstaff. 23.
23 will hit him.
18 plus 5.
Okay.
So. Hiya!
Wow.
9 damage.
Hey. Ooh, that was a good lick. What else you doing? You can still do a bonus action unarmed strike or a flurry of blows.
Yeah, I'm going to hold on, I'm just checking the wording on one thing really quick. Where'd it go? What does help do? It's been a while since I've had to do that.
Help will give somebody advantage on their next like ability check. And I think in the combat it'll give them advantage on the attack roll. Let me double check that before I tell you.
Okay.
You lend your aid to another creature in the completion of a task. When you take the help action, the creature you aid gains advantage on the next ability check it performs the task you're helping with. It provides that it makes the check before the start of your next turn. Alternatively, you can aid a friendly creature in attacking a creature within 5 feet of you. You feint, distract the target, or in some other way team up to make your ally's attacks more effective. If your ally attacks the target before your next turn, the first attack roll is made with advantage. So you're harrying him as you are up close to him, right? You like pop him in the knee, and now you're going to kind of keep him distracted so that an ally can try to move up and hit him.
And I don't know it went invisible for Hickory.
He did not go invisible. You don't know it went invisible for Hickory, no.
Okay. I am going to offhand attack, and we'll do that. So that does not get my proficiency bonus.
Okay.
That's a total of... It'd be what? It'd be my dex plus the roll, but not plus proficiency.
Or what now?
If I'm doing offhand, it's just my roll plus dex.
You're doing like a bonus unarmed strike?
Does that use my bonus action?
Yes, it does.
Okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to instead use part of the family. And I'm going to use my bonus action to offer help to Hickory.
Okay. So
Oh,
you were there keeping him distracted and lidded, but I will say this much. Hickory already has advantage on his next attack roll, just so you know.
Well, then I'm gonna roll a die. Jay, you have advantage.
Thank
As
you.
I
You have
noodle
advantage on
around
attacking.
Agden.
As you noodle around, you have advantage on attacking Agden Longscarf. So, all right. That being said, it is now the brigands' turn. You watch as they leap towards the lot of you. I've got what, 5 brigands? So let's attack some people. How about we just watched you attack our friend, so we're gonna attack you, Noodle, twice. An 18
That'll do.
for 4 bludgeoning and a total of a 20 for 3 more bludgeoning, so 7 bludgeoning from those two.
Okay.
Hickory, you have been branded. You're gonna have the other 3 attacking you.
now
A
I do have a
7.
reach weapon right now.
Oh, okay.
I have a lance up, and I'd be riding around on Percival.
All right. So, do you get it? So when they move in to attack you, they're just in your threat range, right?
Yeah, so I think one of them would evoke an attack of opportunity, I think.
Do you have that feat or?
Oh,
I
does that
think
require a feat to do
I
that?
think that's
Yeah,
Polearm
it requires
Master.
that feat.
Okay,
Yeah,
'cause I
Pole
thought
Arm
it was
Master
moving.
is what you'd have to have.
Okay, then it doesn't do anything for me. Okay, never mind.
Not yet. Soon. Take that feat. It's a good one. But it's okay because it's a 7 and a 6, and the last one to hit you is a 22.
All right, the last one will get through.
All right. That's going to be 5 bludgeoning damage to you. And that is their turn. It is now Sir Hickory Turnips. Go.
All right. Well, since they're already in melee range, I think I'm just staying here and stabbing with my lance.
All right. Unfortunately, using a lance is kind of weird. The lance is one of the weird range weapons that says, hey, if you're using this thing, you have disadvantage on creatures that are within 5 feet of you.
Well, I've also got advantage right now anyway, so it's not going to matter too much.
Perfect.
So I will just go ahead and do it at normal.
All right.
Sorry, just figuring out how to actually attack with it.
I believe if you're in D&D Beyond,
yeah,
you should be able to just click on it.
Oh, pardon me. I was in my inventory, not in my my thing. So
under actions. Yeah, there you go. It's all good.
So that'll be a 22.
That'll hit him
for 12 damage. I would do that non-lethally if I could. I would just basically like slam it down over the guy's shoulders.
All right, so you're attacking one of the brigands up here that attacked you. Okay. As you slam it down onto his shoulder, you hear a sickening crunch, and he crumbles to the ground, but he is alive.
And then, as a bonus action, I am going to cast Compelled Duel on the Longscarf.
All right. Does Compelled Duel require you to be able to see them?
Oh, that's a good thought. I wasn't sure if he was still invisible or not.
He is invisible to you.
Okay. So I think that probably stops it.
All right. But I like where your head's at on that one.
Yeah, I have to see him. All right, never mind.
All right. Jay.
Okay. So Jay is at this moment thinking back to when he packed for this adventure and and left his weapon at home because he thought, well, maybe I won't need it. And he is beginning to panic and is going to look anywhere he can to see if he can find a weapon, either on a fallen person or maybe Sir Hickory has an extra one with Percival's gear.
Yeah, he's. I've got to have. I'll have Talavar's sword on my waist. I will have my long sword on my waist. I have a very prestigious looking ladle.
Okay, I think I think he's gonna go for what he's gonna say Hickory, I need a weapon. What can I have?
Just grab what you need.
Okay. I am gonna grab Televar's dagger. I think that's gonna be the best.
All right. All right. You reach over and grab your friend's dagger. Well, it was a sword to him, but in your hands, even as diminutive as you are, it's still rather small. It is going to act as a +1 dagger, so make sure you swap the inventory around on that. But you may make an attack. All of your attacks currently will be made with a +1. You are proficient in them, so that'll be proficiency bonus plus dexterity, since you can use it as a versatile weapon. Not
Okay,
versatile.
cool.
What's the thing? Finesse. That's the word I was looking for. Finesse weapon. All right.
Okay. Cool. So I have advantage, right?
You were given advantage on Agden, yes.
Okay. Excellent. Can I see him? I'd like to try to make an attack on Agnan.
Absolutely can see Agden.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm gonna make a roll here.
All right. He's very close. You move in. You can see Noodle is like making faces at him.
Oh, oops.
Something like that.
I think I hit the wrong button there. Hold on.
Oh, that's okay.
25.
25. That's a D20. 1 plus 7. So your dexterity is a 3. Is that right?
Yeah.
No, your dexterity is a
Or
plus
it's
what?
4.
4?
Plus 4.
Okay. So you have a 4 and you have a 2 at 6 plus. Okay. No, that actually looks right. You rolled an 18 on the die, plus 7 is your total. And then that's a 25. So yeah, no, you rolled it right. And then it did piercing damage and sneak attack damage. So for a total of 14 damage.
Nice.
Yeah. The really cool thing is moving my mouse, my cursor over there. I know you said you had a +4 for your modifier, and it has a +1 dagger, so that'd be a total of 4, 5. Your proficiency bonus of 2, which is 7. You rolled an 18 plus 7 is 25, and then your damage is a D4 plus 5. 4 for your modifier, plus 1 for the dagger, so a total of 9 sneak attack damage. You rolled 1d6 and got a 5. You did 14 points of damage to Agden Longscarf. He looks at you and goes,
Wow.
"Oh, I don't like you much." All right,
Not so
Jay,
lucky
is it
now,
your
are
turn?
ya?
Oh, we'll see who's lucky.
I'm gonna take an action and try to hide.
Okay, so you're gonna take a bonus action, try to hide.
Yes.
You're right in his face. Like, you would have to move away from him, and you know that doing
okay.
so would provoke an attack of opportunity from him.
Then can I use my bonus action to disengage?
Absolutely, and move away from him.
Yes.
Absolutely, you certainly can. As you move back away, how far away do you want to get from him?
After that attack, as far as I can get away from him.
Which would be your full movement of what, 25 feet?
Yeah.
Okay. As you go bounding across the board, what I'd like for you to do is to roll a d8 for me, please.
Okay. Oh no.
Okay, you are fine. As you bound across the causeway, you hear it creak underneath your feet, but it doesn't seem to be any issue. All right. Next up, Fanny.
What? Oh gosh. Seeing all these guys kicking butt, I'm gonna do it, Wilbur. I'm doing it. I don't care about what you'll do. I would like to do Tides of Chaos. And I would like to give advantage in one attack roll, and I want to do Chaos Bolt on the blue scarfed guy.
Bless your soul, sister. Roll.
Okay. Aha! I didn't go into it. Okay, I'm just
Tell me what you got there.
okay. I don't think my BR20 is working yet, so I'm just gonna.
No.
No, I just will just roll dice. Oh, thank God for advantage. It's so much better because that first one was a natural one. It's plus 5. That's 18 to hit.
As you watch the bolt go right at him, he looks like it's going to slam him in the side of his face. Time starts to slow as he looks, and you watch him duck, his ears going Bugs Bunny wide around the bolt as it slides right past his head. I need you to roll percentile die, please.
Yes.
It
You
just missed.
roguish, rump-fed hugger mugger.
Hey, lady. That's some bad language. You should watch your tongue.
You should wash your whole body, you flea bag. That's an 88.
Oh. You carefully sculpt the spell using the tides of chaos to run that around, and nothing happens for now.
His Fanny's kind of looking around, almost like listening for something.
That for now
For
is
now.
hella ominous.
You know.
I give him the stink eye, and I do the whole 2-finger towards my eyes, and then his, and then I end my turn.
All right. It is now the lone Herringon sniper's turn, and he watched you down one of his allies, so he's going to use his own bow to shoot back at you. DX. He raises his crossbow and hits you with a natural 20.
Oh, ow.
Or 10 points of piercing damage.
It's the start of.
What's up?
Is this the first start of a round?
No, but it is your turn. You do have your reaction, yes.
Shit!
Are you going to use silvery barbs?
Yes, I am. I sure will on that attack re-roll.
All right. This is a spell. We love this spell. All right, let me re-roll first. And then while we're at it, I want you to roll for me, please.
Me? What do I roll?
14. Does that hit you? Sticks.
Meets it, beats it.
Yep. That's 7 points of piercing damage instead of 10.
Okay.
What's really funny was that first roll, I have it always rolling. Actually, I'm just going to show you guys in our own special chat. Give me just 1 second. I got to show you this, guys. Boo-ba-doo, 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 boo. The first one, it always rolls advantage. Gave me 2 nat 20s. The second one that I rolled to represent the reroll for silvery barbs gave me a 14 and a nat 20. Look at that scheisse.
Oh.
Isn't that lovely? So they were just gunning for you. All right, what did you
His
roll on your?
injury, my injury was personal to him, rather.
You killed
God.
my friend. Bob always had the best coleslaw. You bastard.
Oh.
What did you roll on your D100?
Oh, okay. 76.
All of a sudden, the area around you is lit up with bright light. And I don't mean bright light. I mean blinding, searing light. You glow with extremely bright light in a 30-foot radius for the next minute.
The Halo music starts playing.
Any creature that ends its turn within 5 feet of you is blinded until the end of its next turn. So basically, no one stand right beside her. What I love is that over here in the cluster of all of your characters, you are literally in the middle of everybody. All right, so all of a sudden the area is lit up by bright light. You look as Franny looks up at everybody, and she is just glowing, and you hear this indignant brrrr from the top of her head as even Wilburn is glowing brightly.
Man, not again. I'm sorry. Get away from me. It'll go away. I promise.
All right, we are back up to the top of the order, and Agden Longscarf. He looks over at you, my little friend, who just stabbed him in the side. Oh, you're not gonna run away from me. And he bounds away. Noodle.
Yes. I try and smack him.
You can get an attack of opportunity. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you use that to just cling to the scarf?
You can try to grab the scarf. I'll let you do it.
Sure. I'll try and grab the scarf.
Okay. Here's what I'd like for you to do.
What do you need me to roll?
As an action, a character, I'm going to let this happen because, hell, it's cool. Grab Agden's scarf. Doing so requires an athletics strength check.
Holy shit. That's a 19 minus 2.
Minus 2?
Minus 2, so 17 total?
Doing so requires a successful DC 17 strength athletics check.
Oh my god.
You watch as he bounds away, you reach out your hand and grab the end of the scarf, the tattered blue thing. You wrap it up. As soon as he tries to bound away, you hear this as he is drawn back. He cannot move outside of the length of this scarf, bound by his own scarf. He looks at you and says, "Oh, I don't think so." And he is going to try to pull his scarf free. However, it will be his action.
Okay.
So he is going to try to pull his scarf free. Here's how this works. It's a contested athletics check. So strength. Just roll. Let me know what you did.
Yep, it's this one minus 2. Ooh. That's a 16 minus 2 for 14.
Neat. I rolled a 7. So he tries to pull the scarf away, but you are just holding on to it like, not my friends. He runs around.
Ooh, I got your tail.
But he's like 10 feet from getting to Jay, and you watch as he looks back at you and just tries to run a few feet left and right, trying to pull that. He just can't get rid of it. You're holding on to his scarf.
Somebody take this from me. I've made a mistake.
He looks at
Keep
you
holding.
as he tries to pull it, and you're holding on to it, and he can't run left or right. He just turns at you and goes, I quit. I was only funning. I didn't mean nothing by it. Come on. Let a fella go. And he drops his brand, and he like holds his hands up. He's like, look, I'm unarmed. You wouldn't hurt an unarmed fella, would you?
I look at everybody.
We don't look at you. We will in a minute.
Do the rest of the bandits stand down at this?
As an interesting point, they look at you and they kind of look at him, and you watch as they put their weapons down and they hold their hands up. And they shun him. He's begging for help. Like, come on, fellas, help me out. And you just all look at, they kind of like shake their heads and put their weapons away. One of them even says, you were supposed to be the best of them all. Look at you. Held on to by a swimming weasel. That's a shame.
Hey now.
What?
I'm an otter. That's not very
Otter be
nice.
what? What do you ought to be? Ought to be taller? I'm hungry. Let's go get some food. And they start to like make their way away from you.
I would, since it's about to be my round, I would very much love to go up to him and just karate chop him on the head.
Just hiya.
Yes.
Just karate chop him on the head. All right, roll to attack. Even though he is held by your ally, he's still pretty wily and avoids your unarmed strike.
Then I would like to use the D6 that I was given, the inspiration.
Yep. Okay.
Get him.
+4.
As he tries to avoid your shot, you chop him in the side of the head. He holds one ear because it like clipped him at the base of the ear, and he's like, "How? Why you got to? That's just mean, man. Ah, that's my good ear."
You attacked us. You're lucky to be
Well,
alive.
Not to mention that poor goblin.
What poor
The one who was out fetching truffles and you beat her with clubs?
Yeah, she was, you're gonna hit me again if I say anything. You know what? That's fine. I'm just gonna sit right here.
I'm just gonna saunter up. Feast your eyes!
Why are
It's
you
so bright.
glowing?
Okay,
It's-
that's it.
it's-
Someone throw a blanket over me.
We'll say the minute passes, you stay just outside of range where it's going to affect anybody, and eventually it goes away. He is a coward. He is blubbering and, please, what are you gonna do with me? Don't hurt me.
I have two questions.
All right.
I don't know about the rest of the party. This is a lovely scarf. Can I have it?
You want my scarf?
It's quite lovely fabric.
Um.
And you know, ownership and all, it wouldn't be right to take it. So I figured I'd ask.
You. I don't. I can't take it off. I'd give it to you, but I can't. You see, long ago, well, me and my band of miscreants, we menaced travelers throughout various Feywild domains. However, when we got to Prismere, woo, we bit off more than we can chew. Zabilna, well, she put that all to an end. As a punishment for my offenses, she demanded that I give up my beloved scarf. I told her no, so she cursed me. I can't never take it off. Well, then she pinned the scarf to a sapling with a magic nail made out of gold and iron. She bade the tree to grow until its branches raked the clouds. And that carried me into the sky. I was stranded there for a long, long time. And then, well, a little reversal of fortune came about. Whenever, whatever they did to Zabilna happened, my loyal gang, well, they were able to chop down the tree that imprisoned me. However, my scarf remained pinned to the felled trunk, and me with it, of course, and that is until Bavlorna struck a deal with me. She agreed to remove the nail and free the scarf, but I had to give her the best prize from each of the raids thereafter. So
Wait,
I can't give it to you.
question. Do you work for Blidestraw?
In a manner of speaking.
Okay.
What can you tell us about the gourd some of your friends tried to accost us with?
Oh, that thing? You know, when they came coming back and I asked about that thing, they said that somebody took it. I didn't know who, but I suspected it was you all. Don't worry. The gourd only works for us. And only we can release it. Just touching it doesn't really make anything happen. Unless we want it to. So what are you gonna do now?
Oh, we wanted to stop you of your naughty doings.
Uh-huh.
And I think we were gonna go talk to some hags
Yeah.
and then save the day.
Also, the guide, Clapper.
Clapper
Oh,
Claw.
Scarecrow! Clapper Claw! Scarecrow!
Well, if you're wanting to talk to slack-jawed Lorna, you're gonna need to go into Downfall and the Soggy Court. I tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. If you let me go, I'll take you to the Soggy Court. And from there, you can get to Downfall.
And then what will you do?
I will run away.
I have an idea.
All right, I'm all ears. Get it? Because I got lost. Anyway, what's that?
I mean, maybe like a third ears. I feel like you could offer some services to Jingle Jangle to make up for the trouble you gave her.
Right as rain. I will be happy to help that little goblin lassie out. You just tell me, point me in the direction of her. After I drop you folks off at the Soggy Court, I'll go tend to her. What do you think? What do you say? We got a deal?
You swear on your life?
I swear on my scarf.
It's just wrapped around your neck, so technically your life. If we really
You
wanted
get
that
what?
scarf.
Well, I suspect that Zabilna's magic is stronger than any blade you can brandish at me. Anyways, do we have a deal? And he offers up a hand to shake.
Hold on before we go making any concrete deals. Those are very binding. I pull out my monocle and turn to the rest of the group. What do we think?
I can't get him. You're so cute.
I'm just gonna shrug.
I don't trust him. Can I roll an insight check on Agnes?
You on Agnes? On who?
Or on the
On Agden?
bunny?
Yeah, Agden, yes,
Agnes?
you may.
My bad.
I was like, do we have an extra party
Agnes?
member I don't know about?
Agnes
That's
was
my
the
cousin.
one that did the really good coleslaw.
Agden. Yeah.
Agnen. Okay. Well, that's not great.
Seems to be that he is keeping his body language doesn't reveal that he's lying to you or anything.
I trust him.
Really? See, I've been kind of thinking that he already knows this land pretty well. I think he could also come with us and make sure that he makes right on things. Guides us, and we make sure he's acting appropriately before we let him wander.
Smart thinking.
I'm just gonna kind of eye over everyone in the party and try and determine who I think might have the best grip. And
Who might have the best grip?
yep.
While we're talking, just because I know a couple people did take damage, may I go to Hickory and Sticks and heal them up a little bit?
Yes, you may.
Okay. I will go to Hickory first, and I will just kind of like hold out my hand for his. You took some damage here.
Oh, okay.
And when you
take your hand.
yeah, when you put your hand in mine, I'll just like clasp my other hand over top. And you will get that's 10 healing. From a cure wounds. And I'll just give a soft smile, and then I'll move over to Sticks, and I will do the same thing.
Hickory will probably blush.
And yeah, I'll go to Sticks, and I'll hold up my hand for his as well. Styx, would you like some healing?
I will really reluctantly touch hands with Willerin.
I think we're both
Hands reaching out,
exactly.
touching hands.
And I will I'll do the same thing and place my other hand on top, and you will receive 8 healing.
There you go. You got 8 healing. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm
Thank
going
you.
to waddle my way over to Styx. Look up. I think you might.
Uppy.
I think you
Sorry.
might. I think you might be better at holding this than me. And I'll hold up the end of the scarf.
I will take it. I'll like wrap it
Okay.
around my fist.
Yeah.
Have an extra good hold.
He is not trying to get away. He's looking for you guys to deliver his fate. So, do you guys want to take him up and have him guide you to the Soggy Court and to Downfall?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, all right then. Let's be on our way. And with that, he sets off, heading in a westerly direction around the planks. And as he leads you towards the Soggy Court and Downfall, hopefully we won't find out if it will be your downfall. But we'll see to that next week as we bring this episode to a close. I want to thank all of my amazing players and all of the fun that we had tonight. I hope you guys had a great time. Next week, I will not be calling it Running Up That Hill or any such song by Kate Bush, because I know that was in your head.
It's back!
We'll find a different song to get started.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry. Given we're never going to give you up. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Don't forget to check out the merch store. Join our Discord if you haven't already. Check out tomorrow night. We are going to have our Star Wars game back here, Remnant Shadow. So don't forget to tune into that. And then until then, we will see you all next Monday. Take care, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.
Ciao.
Bye.
Woo!
Have you ever fought a dragon and stormed its mountain lair? Have you ever killed a vampire and seen the evil in its lair? Have you ever sought adventure and couldn't find it anywhere? Well, here's the answer to your call. We're gonna die of Adventure Company. Come leave behind all your cares. Come with me and see what's out there. If you wanna be a hero or a demon in disguise, if you wanna steal a spaceship and sail across the endless skies, if you wanna live a story and you're down to have some fun, come on and join the Dino Bears. There's a game for everyone. Adventure Company. Come leave behind all your cares. Adventure Company. Come with me and see what's out there.